we're reaching the end of our ability to solve our biggest problems through technology, through laws, and through some form of centralized power. It's a pretty big claim because pretty much from every way you look at it, any kind of company, any kind of government, any kind of institution, school, church, they're all trying to solve human problems through some means of trickery or force or rules or conditioning. And they're trying to do it without addressing the actual problem. From the youngest of age, now this isn't true for very young children, for 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, they're just perfect. I love walking down the street and seeing some kind of a young kid in a stroller just smiling and looking oblivious, total peace with whatever is happening in the moment. But then we go into school, we go to first grade, second grade, and on up, and we're taught to trust and to rely on left brain thinking, which is the analytical side. That's what is focused on and developed in our educational institutions. What's totally ignored for the most part is the right brain, which is our connection to the non-material world, to the invisible realm of love, emotions, happiness, fulfillment, the things we really want, those things. And so as we go into this world and we enter the world of centralized institutions, in most countries it's required to go to school a certain number of hours per day. And we're taught to rely on our own ability as individuals to solve problems, to achieve, to get our homework done. And we're taught to develop a little ego. And at that young age, that ego is very capable of getting through life just fine. And the reason for that is because life is very simple. You have mom and dad, or at least some form of guidance, some parental or family guidance to take care of most of your problems. And your only issue is to do well on a test maybe, and to get through a day and not get in trouble. And so your ego is very much capable of that little simple world, this artificial world. And that's how they're training us to think that we can get through life and have everything we need. And the way forward is through the left brain, through analytical thinking, through seeing yourself as separate from the universe, through achievement and accomplishment and intelligence, and through thinking, through the mind. The problem, let's look at it from the other side. I've often wondered, as I walk around town again, and I see old people, and it's just, I don't know where you live, but where I live, the vast majority of older people are not in a good state. I don't mean physically, but I mean emotionally. You can see it on their faces. They're just beaten up and defeated and grumpy. And your natural tendency, and I'm sorry, I'm being maybe too direct with this, but I think your natural tendency is to say, like, come on, what's wrong? What is this person? They have a pension, they have grandchildren, they have a spouse, they have a home, they have food, they have their TV shows and their hobbies and their books or whatever else. They have time. They can do whatever they want to do. They don't have to go to work. What is wrong? And what is wrong is that the ego, the left brain, the mind identified, the thought identified part of you as life gets more complicated, which it does for everyone as we get older and go through life, it is incapable of solving your problems. Instead, it creates your problems. In a simplified environment like school, or even in your first job, you have a very clear goal, and you either are working toward that successfully or you're failing. Very simple. And the rest of the world and the rest of your life is pretty simple. It's taken care of for you. But then you grow up, you have more responsibilities, you maybe start your own company, maybe you become very successful in some endeavor as an artist or something like that. You might get married or enter into a permanent relationship with someone. You might have children. Life gets very complicated the older we get. People die. Things change. People, you have issues happen as you get older. And that's why you see people slowly crumble, slowly fade, become a shell of their former selves. And it's not because life does that to you. It's because the ego is the problem. It's not the solution. Your constant stream of thoughts are the makings of your problems, not the answer to your problems. Your worries about the past, your identity with your past story, with your image, with your future goals, with your worries about the future, with money, with every worry and fear and all this nonsense in your mind. You're taught, if you study hard and if you are educated and intelligent, you're going to figure it out. You're not going to figure it out. Okay, let's just leave it at that. Now, this might be hard for some people to hear, for almost everyone to hear, but this is the case. And you might think that if you just could get to this situation, if I could just be with this person, if I could just stop my partner from doing this, if my kids would just listen to me, if I had more money, if I could take more vacation, if I didn't have to go to this job, then I would be happy. None of those things are going to make you happy as long as you're still identified with your mind. There are some people who get older, who pass the age of 40, 50, 60, 70, and are perfectly at peace. They're glowing with this happiness and fulfillment of life, with health, with radiance. And they grow old gracefully, and they don't even look old, they just look beautiful. And the reason for that is that they learn to stop identifying with the mind. They meditate. They form some kind of spiritual practice, some kind of atonement, enlightenment, transcendence. They align with love, not with fear and hatred. And when you do that, what you realize is that there are no problems to solve. The Course in Miracles says, what is real cannot be threatened. What is unreal does not exist. Therein lies the peace of God. So, nothing your mind can do will change what's real. And nothing your mind can do can create something that isn't real. So therefore you can just accept reality, accept what is. Okay? So here we are in a state, humanity in general, not everyone, but the vast majority of people, the normal people, are in a state where they don't trust people. They're crippled with fear. They're not focused on doing anything. They're not their best selves. They're worried. They're selfish. They're concerned about their future. They're greedy. They're violent. They're angry. Let's just face it. That's how a lot of people are. And then you have, in the world of technology, you have social media sites that are trying to control the amount of hatred being spewed in the comments. You have identity systems trying to create some level of trust. You have, in eBay, you can vote for whether a person, is trustworthy or not, and things like this. You're trying to solve the problem, the human problem, with technology, but it doesn't work because if a person isn't already trusting of another person, if a person isn't already giving to another person and loving, you're not going to create some kind of trick or some kind of system that's going to make them behave that way. That's the same kind of thinking that punishment works, that rules work, that laws work. It doesn't work. It's not working. Is it working? It's not working. Okay, and this is why in the world of technology, I think the last really big thing that happened is probably Facebook. And since then, what's it been, like 10 years or more, really, since there's been nothing that's taken the world by storm. And maybe the reason is that people realize that Facebook didn't really help. That we're not touching the issue of we're not going to the root of the cause. Okay? So what if we did something totally different this time? Let's not dance around the issue. Let's go to the heart of the issue. Let's look at the ego. I mean, people, as they get older, they go through divorces, they go through all kinds of fights and threats and problems. They go to therapists. Now, therapists want to explore the workings of the mind. They want to understand it. But they don't want to get rid of the ego. They don't want to destroy and murder the pain body, as Eckhart Tolle calls it, that is possessing you. It's an entity that's actually possessing you. It's mind-dominated, left brain dominated way of being, where you sit on the couch and you think and you worry and you just can't sleep at night and you're stressed out and you need alcohol or drugs of some kind to get you out of that mind dominated state into a level beneath it perhaps. But what we need to do is go above it. And the way to do that is to understand that your mind, become the observer of your mind. So when I look at my application that I'm building, our application that we are building, InfoBeing, called I Am. That I Am is not your mind. That I Am is something higher, something more truly the core, the invisible realm, your soul, the observer of your mind. And as we identify with that, then that's a really interesting thing. When you listen to the word I Am, listen to when people use the word I Am. It's a very powerful thing because it defines the reality of you, or it claims your existence at a higher level. I want is almost, it's just like being stuck in this state of want, that you're trying to get something. I am means that you are it. You're embodying that thing, that reality. So what needs to be done in this world is that we need to go to some place higher than rules, higher than laws, higher than political rhetoric, higher than functionality on some application, higher than therapy, higher than what the drug company can provide, higher than what films can distract us from, higher than what your next relationship is going to do to solve your problems. And begin to look at who we are, truly. We are more than our thoughts. We are love. We are giving. We are trusting. We are safe. We are identified not with just our bodies and our homes and our cars and our physical form. We are identified with something that is your soul, that is eternal, that is invisible, and yet more real than anything else. And as you identify with that, you say, I am meeting a person to start an Ethereum-based app company and have an ICO. You say, I am learning to dance. I am learning to play guitar because it makes me feel so good to hear those notes coming from my guitar. I am okay just the way that I am. And even the act of claiming I amness is going to be such an amazing, powerful thing. It doesn't matter what somebody else thinks of you, it matters what you are and what you already know you are. It doesn't matter how many people know that. It doesn't matter who you're changing, if you're changing the world. You are. And you're all part of this. You're part of this oneness. Okay? You're not your thoughts. Your thoughts are an illusion. You're trained to identify with your thoughts. And as you get older, it's not going to solve your problems. And we're running into a situation where we're stuck. We're not going to have any real change in the world through politics, through another technology breakthrough. You have people doing Internet of Things, but the problem isn't Internet of Things. The problem is the things. the identification with the things. If we want to talk about IoT, it's identification of things. That is the problem, okay? We're not going to solve our problems through technology. Technology, what we're creating at InfoBeing, is going to be a portal into this new reality where your problems are solved, where you don't have negative emotion, you don't have fear, you don't have lack, you don't have wanting, you don't have frustration, you don't have dependency. You're free and you are fully alive and aligned with your eternal truth. So that's how we're going to get there. And I'm glad that it's going to take a year or two to develop this application, because we need that much time to start this conversation and to start the transformation, to start identifying the people who are going to be the first movers in this new world, this decentralized economy of abundance, of service to others, of learning and becoming and being the best self that you can be.